Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We go back 74 years to November 27th, 1948, an episode of the Phillips H. Lord's program, Gangbusters, and the Greedy Gunman. You're going to love this. Thank you for tuning in on this Sunday. This is the 27th day of November, and this would happen to be the 331st day of the year. We have 34 days remaining until we get to 2023. At the Swedish-Norwegian Club in Paris on this date in 1895, Alfred Nobel signed his last will and testament, setting aside his estate to establish the Nobel Prize after he dies. The U.S. Army War College established in 1901, and in 1924, the first Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City. In 1934, bank robber Babyface Nelson died in a shootout with the FBI. In 1954, Alger Hiss released from prison after serving 44 months for perjury. The Pentagon told President Johnson on this date in 1965 that if planned operations were to succeed, the number of American troops in Vietnam had to be increased.
We intend to convince the communists that we cannot be defeated by force of arms or by superior power. They're not easily convinced. In recent months, they have greatly increased their fighting forces and their attacks and the numbers of incidents. I have asked the commanding general, General Westmoreland, what more he needs to meet this mounting aggression. He has told me, and we will meet his needs.
On this date in 1971, Mars 2 of the Soviet space program landed on Mars. In 1973, the Senate voted 92-3 to confirm Gerald Ford as vice president. And in 1978, in San Francisco, City Mayor George Moscone and openly gay supervisor Harvey Milk assassinated by former supervisor Dan White.
President of the Board of Supervisors, it's my duty to make this announcement. Both Mayor Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk have been shot and killed.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
The suspect is Supervisor Dan White.
Acting Mayor and now U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein. White served 5 years of a 7-year prison sentence. Less than 2 years after his release, he returned to San Francisco, where he committed suicide. The UN Security Council adopted Security Resolution 721, leading the way to the establishment of peacekeeping operations in Yugoslavia. The first partial human face transplant completed in France on this date in 2005. Passing away on this date in history, John Carradine, what am I saying? And Billy Bird, fine actress. Very funny lady, too. Born on this date in history, sportscaster Ted Husing, another sportscaster Chick Hearn, Bruce Lee, Eddie Rabbitt, You Don't Love Me Anymore, guitarist Jimi Hendrix, and Dad in Fresh Prince, James Avery, all born on this date, along with, Buffalo Bob Smith. We can't forget him. This is the birth date. Do you remember Revenge of the Nerds? You remember Booger? Curtis Armstrong turns 69 today. My goodness. Bill Nye is 67. JFK's daughter, journalist Caroline Kennedy, is 65. Actress Robin Givens, the ex of, what was that weird boxer's name? Bites people's ears? Mike Tyson, 58 years old today. From Empire, Jamila Velasquez is 27. And yes, it's Steve Urkel's birthday.
Honey, I'm home! Steve Urkel at your service.
Hi, Steve. Listen, Steve, DJ and Julie were never here and they're never coming back.
Never? Well, that's okay, I'll wait.
From a cameo appearance on Full House, you know, Steve Urkel was supposed to be a one-off on Family Matters. Just a, guest appearance, one-off shot. The character got over so well in that one appearance that they kept bringing him back, and he ended up being a regular. Jaleel White, who got typecast in that Steve Urkel character. Jaleel White, 46 years old today. Though some of the people who celebrate the 27th day of November as their birthday, if this happens to be your birthday.
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
Going back 74 years to November 27th, 1948, Gangbusters, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station. Gangbusters started out as G-Men, popularizing off of that movie G-Men that starred James Cagney back in 1935. Well, Phillips H. Lords picked up the show and tried to work with the FBI. J. Edgar Hoover didn't like the way the show was very loud and raucous. The show ran for just a few months, July 20th to October 12th, 1935. Well, the sequel, Gangbusters, debuted in January of 1936, and it was even louder and noisier. And it was a very violent radio show. But people loved it. And they brought people in like Norman Schwarzkopf Sr., the former head of the New Jersey State Police, to lead into the dramatization. And later, they brought crime-busting New York City Police Commissioner Louis Joseph Valentine to be the voice of the show, giving it credibility from a police aspect. Now from November 27th, 1948, Gangbusters and the Greedy Gunman on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
And now, Gangbusters! Gangbusters, presented in cooperation with police and federal law enforcement departments throughout the United States. The only national program that brings you authentic police case histories.
Greedy Gunman, who didn't believe in honor among thieves until he nearly lost his life, or in love and law until he lost his liberty.
Gangbusters has asked Captain of Detectives Henry J. Criss, Commanding Detective Bureau, Baltimore Police Department, to narrate by proxy tonight's case. Captain Criss, you said the leading criminal in tonight's case was one of the most surly and vicious hold-up men to put in an appearance in the Baltimore-Washington area in some years.
That's right, Don Gardner. And besides maltreating his victims, he was just as rough with his accomplices. And that's what finally brought this case to a head.
Well, suppose you tell us about it, Captain Criss.
All right, Don. I think it would begin shortly before noon about a year ago. Two men were riding in a car which was pulling to a stop in front of a house in East Baltimore.
Okay.
Listen, Mac.
Tell me about it later. Dump the car.
But, Mac, we're going to
Get rid of the car. We'll talk about it. Don't. What I got to put up with? Kitty! Kitty!
All right, I'm here.
Well, come in here, will you?
putting up my hair. Did you have any trouble, Mac?
Not with the job. Stuck a gun on and took the dough. That jerk Lewis almost queered everything. There.
Is that it?
Yeah.
How much?
Haven't had time to count it yet. About 3,000, I guess.
Then I can have that new coat, huh, Mac?
You can have nothing.
Oh, honey, you promised me. You said as
Get
soon...
your hands off me.
I knew it. I knew you were lying to me.
Okay, so you know it.
Mac, if you don't give her up, I swear I'm going to fix her so you'll never take another look at her.
Fix who?
I know her. I know who she is.
There's no her. And leave me alone about it.
Oh, you lie about that, too. Lewis said the two of you were the...
Forget about what Lewis said. You don't know the right time of day. I went in and heisted the joint. All he had to do was sit around and the wheel. He couldn't even do that right. But don't listen to him.
She's a blonde, isn't she? You were always a sucker for blondes.
No blonde and forget about
Lewis
it. Look,
said...
cut it out, will you?
You're playing around with some washed-out blonde. You expect me to keep my mouth shut?
Yes.
Well, nobody's going to beat my time.
What's tying you down? Pack up and get out.
Listen,
Go on,
Mac.
pack up. Who's stopping you?
You make a good score next time? I can have the coat, huh?
Maybe.
Okay, that's a promise.
I said maybe. Now finish that hair. You look like a slob.
Who's that?
Take it easy. It's Lewis. Okay. Yeah?
Me.
Get in here.
Come on, let's cut the score.
I thought I told you to dump the car.
What do you think I did?
Where? Around the corner?
It was in the next block.
How much better is the next block? Cops will be swarming around that car in an hour.
Well, I figure like this. They'll dope it out. We wouldn't drop the car close to home. So they start looking on the other side of town. See?
Always got an angle, haven't you? Go on, get in there.
You said it. I want my end of the score. Oh, hi, Kitty.
Hi.
What were you telling her about some blonde?
The blonde? Oh, well,
It was business, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's what it was, business. Didn't I say it was business, Kitty? This little dish works in the joint Mac and me figure on taking soon.
Okay. Get going, Kitty. Get that hair fixed. You look like something out of a wrestling match.
Business, huh?
Get busy, will you?
Just wondering what kind of business. Blonde.
Why did you have to open up your yap about that blonde?
Yeah, we were talking and I just mentioned you.
Who asked you to mention anything?
No harm was intended, Mac. Hey, is that the score?
Yeah.
Well, come on, cut it up.
Sure, I'll cut it up. 20, 40, 60, 81. 20, 40, 60, 70, 80, 92. 200. Take it. It's yours.
What about the rest?
You get the 200.
Oh, now, Mac, there's $3,000 there at least.
Listen, I ought to throw you out the door. I would have been better off flagging a cap.
But the deal was...
The deal was nothing. I did all the work and you came near getting me nabbed. Now take the 200 and be happy with it.
Oh, Mac, this ain't right. You know it ain't right.
Isn't it? I should have started this after the last Washington job. I can get car pushers a dime a dozen, so consider yourself well paid.
But, Mac, I did my job.
You want the 2 bills or don't you?
I'll listen.
Do you want it?
Yeah.
Okay. If there's a deal you contribute something to, we split. As long as you're driving a hack, you get paid like a hack driver.
This ain't no way to treat me, Mac.
Isn't it?
I'm entitled to...
I'll tell you what you're entitled to. Now, go on. Get your carcass out of here before I really let go.
Yeah, okay. I'll be seeing you, Mac.
Hello, Lieutenant Kelly.
Sergeant Meyer, Lieutenant. I think maybe I got an identification on that stick-up artist.
Yeah?
Yeah. The guy they want pretty bad down in Washington for payroll robberies at a couple of printing plants. I showed his picture to the victims here. They're pretty sure it's the guy, Mack Fierst.
Mack Fierst. We've handled him here in Baltimore, haven't we?
Yeah, we had him on a stick-up a couple of years ago, Lieutenant. He's got a record as long as your arm.
Well, come on in here, Sergeant. We'll see if we can figure out a way to locate him. If he's still in Baltimore.
Ain't no use crying to me, Lewis. I told you what Mac was like. Told you all along. I come in here to have a drink, not to hear your grief.
But 200, Sig, a lousy 200. And the score came to nearly $4,000, believe me.
Well, my advice, Lewis, figure your 200 to the good. Break off with the guy and make some new connections.
I got a lot of dough coming to me, and Mac or no Mac, I'm going to get it.
You talk like a kid in 3rd grade.
Somewhere in that house of his, he's got 10 or 15,000. I know. I was on those jobs. And he ain't spent a nickel of it, believe me.
Yeah, I believe you. So what? What do you want me to do, shed a few tears for you?
Listen, how'd you like to split it with me, Sig? 50-50.
Split what?
All that sugar Mac has laying around.
Look, maybe you ought to get home. This stuff is going to your head.
We wouldn't have a bit of trouble, Sig.
You bet your life we wouldn't. Because I ain't going out looking for it.
You mean to say you're not interested in nearly $8,000?
I'm interested, but let's get it the easy way. Let's go heist a bank with guys.
We couldn't have it any easier. Not the way I got it doped.
Listen, I don't want to hear about it.
$8,000, Sig. And we rid society of a menace.
You mean?
How else?
I don't know. Is it possible?
You don't think I'd try it if it wasn't? Look, Mac's heard about your job. He's heard you're a guard at that crap game down there.
Yeah?
Well, if I know him, he'd jump at an inside track to knock it over. I'll tell him you know the setup, and we're a cinch to walk away with 20 or 30,000.
Yeah, but one look inside, you'll know it ain't a cinch.
He won't even get a look. We drive down there, but we take a stop and away.
Listen, it'd take more than two of us, you know it.
He wouldn't give too much trouble. One crack out of a 45, and he'd be quiet enough.
You know, I love dough, but who needs a murder rat?
We drop him in the woods someplace down there. Who's gonna know? You'll never even find him.
You see, you're running away with yourself. He's dead. How are we gonna get the dough?
Don't worry, it's around the house someplace.
Yeah, but what about that dame? That, what's her name?
Kitty? I can handle her. All we gotta do is get Mac out of the way.
You talk like that's no project.
The way we do it, it won't be. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. I want another drink. Hey, waiter. Waiter, here you are.
Hello, Lieutenant.
Oh, I was just about to put a call into your house, Sergeant.
I know the desk man said you wanted to see me. What's doing?
Mack Fierst.
Oh.
The forgery squad, and they got a check artist back there. And the course questioning comes out he's a friend of Fierst.
Yeah? Does he know where we can locate him?
Well, he's not that good a friend, but he's sure Fierst is in Baltimore. Saw him a couple of weeks ago. They had a drink together. Then Fierst dropped him off downtown.
You think our boy is staying in Baltimore?
That for sure. Maybe something better. The car they rode in, Fierst told the check artist was his. That he had just bought it.
Here in Baltimore?
Presumably. It's a 1946 Oldsmobile, 4-door, painted gray. Let's get a couple of men to take Fierst's picture around the used car dealers.
He probably made the buy under an alias.
Yeah, but maybe he still owes money on the car. And he had to apply for plates. There's an address involved someplace that might be just the address we're looking for.
It's as easy as that, Mac. Sig says there ought to be 20 or 30 grand just waiting to be picked up.
Who wanted beer?
Me.
Mac?
Just set it down. Sig says there's only one guard on Sunday nights, huh?
You can ask him yourself.
I mean to.
I hear somebody mention $30,000.
You didn't hear anybody mention a thing. If you want to stay in here, keep your mouth shut.
Well, here's to all that dough we cut up.
I didn't know that crap game was that large.
Yeah, Sig says the play is enormous.
We'll see.
You ask me, even one guard is too many.
Nobody asked you.
Well, how about it, Mac?
I want to talk to Sig.
Sure, talk to him. But, look, Mac, one thing's got to be understood.
I want to talk to Sig. Run out and locate him.
Now?
When do you think? Next week? Go on. Bring him back here.
Well, at least let me finish the beer.
I'll put it in the icebox.
Get moving, Louis.
Don't see why I can't wait till the night.
Just get him here.
Okay, I'll get him here.
Well, guess this one will do it.
Do what?
Get me that coat.
You get a coat when I'm ready to give it to you.
But that blonde can have anything she wants.
There's no blonde. If there was, it wouldn't be any of your concern.
Wouldn't it?
No, now go on. Get out of here. Gotta think about this thing.
So all you do is think.
Wait a minute.
What?
Take these beer glasses with you.
Oh. Okay for me to wash glasses when I need some.
I'll see you later. Go on.
So, Don, as Baltimore detectives were trying to get on the trail of the bandit Mack Fierst, One of his disgruntled associates planned his murder. But as you will see, trails can be hard to follow, and plans are only plans.
Notice when they mention narrate by proxy, that means the words are supposed to be this guy's, but that's not him speaking them. Gangbusters, November 27th, 1948. I'm Wyatt Cox. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We'll have the news from 74 years ago today coming up following these messages. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite radio station. An episode of Gangbusters, The Greedy Gunman, as it was broadcast November 27th, 1948. In the newspapers of that Saturday, 74 years ago, these were some of the headlines. Slav delegates in the United Nations Assembly charged yesterday the U.S. is waging war on the Greek people and conducting an economic Cold War on Eastern Europe. Some of the other delegates, including Britain's Hector McNeil, dozed in their chairs as a spokesman for the Russian bloc blasted the American-financed European Recovery Program and U.S. policies in Greece. The Assembly sided with the United States on the economic aid issue. It voted 33-6 against a Polish resolution to forbid economic pressure by one nation against another as a means of influencing domestic or foreign policy. The authoritative magazine Lancet said yesterday the seriousness of King George's illness is all too evident. There is hope, it is said, that the king may regain his health and strength, but it intimated that he never would be able to resume his more strenuous activities. It was understood that a new drug recently discovered in the United States might be used to treat the king. The drug has been in use in the U.S. for about a year. It's understood and has had good effects in the treatment of Buerger's disease, the arterial affliction from which it's believed the king suffers. It's understood details about the new drug are in possession of the king's physicians. New opposition developed yesterday to terms for ending the twice-settled but still on East Coast maritime strike. The stevedores leader said it came from communists. The opposition developed at a meeting in Brooklyn at which those attended claimed to represent 13,000 members in 13 Brooklyn locals of the International Longshoremen's Association. Joseph P. Ryan, ILA president, termed this an attempt by the Communist Party to cloud the issues. He also said many at the Brooklyn meeting were not bona fide members of the union. President Truman yesterday turned aside a proposal to invite Chiang Kai-shek to Washington to discuss the Chinese crisis, even as the Generalissimo's wife made plans for a visit to appeal for immediate U.S. aid. A State Department spokesman confirmed Nanking reports that American education Mademoiselle Chang had scheduled a trip, but he refused to answer a direct question whether the government had invited her. On the basis of Secretary of State George C. Marshall's remarks to a news conference Wednesday, Mademoiselle Chang faces a cool official reception. General Douglas MacArthur's headquarters took over publication of all news concerning General Hideki Tojo and his 6 fellow warlords condemned to die on the gallows for their crimes. It was learned that 4 gallows had been erected on a raised platform where the condemned men were kept, and that all were ready to hang at the time specified by MacArthur. In taking over news of the condemned men, MacArthur headquarters said there would be a release daily at 10 a.m. However, at 10 a.m. today, Major Fred May, news editor of MacArthur's Public Information Service, said merely there would be no communique today. He said he took this to mean that Tojo and the others had not yet been hung. 2 House committees have decided to drop contempt of Congress charges against about 60 persons who refused to say whether they were communists. Now, the committees are acting on advice of the Justice Department. The persons involved appeared as witnesses during the summer at hearings at the House Un-American Activities Committee and the House Labor Committee. They include top officials of the CIO Electrical Workers Union, Fur Workers Union, and New York locals of the Department Store Workers Union. The Labor Committee investigated alleged communist influence in those unions this summer and encountered about 40 witnesses who refused to answer the question. And 21-year-old art student Bernie Martin, under the GI Bill of Rights, getting his education, bought a portrait for $5 in a Newark, New Jersey second-hand shop, and it may be worth $1,000. The girl in a red velvet dress will be put on exhibition at the Newark Academy of Arts, where he studies. Those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Saturday, November 27, 1948, on your radio Gangbusters. We'll hear the conclusion following these messages on this Sunday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station. Monday's Classic Radio Theater, Jeff Chandler as Tex Chandler in an episode of Frontier Town, Death and Texas, for November 28, 1952. But now the conclusion of Gangbusters, 74 years ago, November 27, 1948.
Now back to Gangbusters. Now, you were telling us, Captain Chris, that Hunter Lewis, an accomplice of the hold-up man, Mack Fierst, was dissatisfied with what Fierst gave him as his share, and with another man, planned to entice the leader into the woods of southern Maryland and murder him.
That's right, Don. But in the meantime, Baltimore detectives learned that Fierst participated in a local holdup, and they were attempting to locate him. Following one line of their investigation, Lieutenant Leo Kelly hurried to the lot of a used car dealer, Happy Harry, in response to a call from Sergeant Joseph Maurer, who was waiting as the lieutenant's car pulled to a stop.
Lieutenant. How's it look, Sergeant?
Well, Happy Harry took one look at the picture and said he sold the guy a car.
Fierst didn't use his right name?
No, it's not on the books. But we've been checking back sales 5 or 6 weeks since I phoned you, and I think we found the Oldsmobile.
Oh?
It was bought in the name of H. McDuff. Gives an address over on East Baltimore Street. I'll introduce you to Happy Harry.
The car bought on time or for cash?
Cash. Lieutenant Kelly, Happy Harry.
How are you?
Well, I'm pleased to meet you, Lieutenant. You know something, Sergeant? Association. I'm sure of it because of association.
You're sure of what?
Well, I'm sure the guy that bought the Olds is the same one in the picture. Association. Now, you take the guy in the picture. I knew he had gray eyes before you told me even. A gray Olds. I remember like it was yesterday.
Well, let's hope the association works out. Can I see the papers?
Oh, yes, sir. I always keep my papers in order. Books and papers. Happy Harry always keeps them in order, yes, sir. Here you are. What's the matter?
Nothing at all. What do you say, Sergeant? Let's check the address.
Right. Thanks a lot, Harry.
Don't mention it. If you ever need a good car, don't forget Happy Harry.
We won't.
Well, Sergeant, looks pretty good. We'll check the State Department of Motor Vehicles and the tag number.
What about East Baltimore Street? Sounds like a rooming house.
Tell you what, we'll keep our eyes on it a couple of days. If that gray Old shows up around there, then we know we've got something. If it doesn't, we'll knock on the door and ask some questions on the inside. Come on.
Hello?
Sig?
Yeah?
Lewis, it's all set for tonight.
Hey, listen. You think we ought to go ahead?
Sure, we oughta. Now get this. We'll meet at Mack's. If he don't see us together, he won't suspect anything.
Yeah?
Here's the deal. Mack will be driving. I'll manage to get in the back seat and you in front with him.
But
I can't hang on the phone all day. We're out in the country, see? There's a place he has to slow down. The road ain't so hot. I'll say, how about turning up the heater a little? It's freezing back here.
So?
That means it won't be but a couple of seconds before I give it to him. Okay?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. I'll see you at Mack's. So long.
Lieutenant Kelly.
Hello, Lieutenant. Sergeant Maurer. We went inside that East Baltimore Street address.
Yes?
McDuff was Mack Fierst, all right. The landlady made him from the picture. But he moved about 3 or 4 weeks ago. No forwarding address.
Okay, I didn't expect any miracles out of it, but he still must be driving that car around town. Let's keep a special lookout for it.
Listen, how far is this place? You said a mile from the crossroads.
It's just down the road, Mac. Ain't that right, Louis?
Yeah, just down the road.
But watch it here. The road's kind of rough.
Yeah, okay. Now listen, the two of you.
What?
Yeah, Mac?
We'll take it just like I figured we'll take it. Going in, coming out, and getting away. Have you got that straight?
Oh, we've been all over that 10 times. Hey, it ain't exactly summer tonight, you know. It's freezing back here. How about turning that heater up a little?
You can stand it. We're nearly there.
Yeah, Louis. Nearly.
Maybe, but this is as far as you're going, Mac.
Hey.
Stop the car.
Get that gun out of my head, you cheap little punk.
Stay there. I think that finished him. Now, think again. I'm getting you. Hey, wait, Mick.
Shoot me, will you?
Sig. Give me a hand back here. Let go of me, Mac. Let go.
Punk. Lousy punk. Shoot me in the back. You get away with something, huh? What do you think you'll get away with? What? What? Okay. Get out of here. Sig. Sig.
Mac?
Come here. Hurry.
But, Mac...
Come here.
Okay.
Hurry, will you?
What happened, Mac? What happened?
What's it look like happened?
You don't point the gun at me, Mac. I didn't have nothing to do with it.
Tell me, Sig. Who are you with now?
I'm with you, Mac. I was always with you.
Yeah. We'll see. I need help. I'm going to shut up and shut up something off.
Yeah. Well, what do you want me to do, Mac? What?
Get him out of there. Drag him into the woods.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Mac.
Wait a minute.
What?
Maybe I'll pass out while you're gone. If I do, you take me home. Straight home, you got it?
Yeah, straight home, Mac.
Okay. Now get rid of him.
All right, okay. I'll be there. Yeah?
Open up, Kitty.
Who is it?
Sig and Mac.
All right.
He's hurt.
Hurt? What do you...
Hello, Kitty.
Let me get him in.
Yeah, get me in.
What happened?
He and Louis.
Had an argument.
In the bedroom. Go on.
Come on.
Give me a hand, Kitty, will you, please?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, boy, it hurts. It's bad.
Take it easy, Mac.
Get the door, Kitty.
On the bed.
Don't pull me, will you?
Okay, easy now.
On the bed, Mac.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta get going.
Sig,
Yeah, Mac?
were you with me or him?
I was with you, Mac.
I'll bet.
I was, honest. Well, I'll be going.
Wait a minute.
Yeah?
Stick the car in the garage, will you?
What?
Stick the car in the garage, will you?
Okay.
Don't ever show your puss around here again. Now get moving.
Yeah. I'll be seeing you.
Yeah. Hiya, Kitty.
Hi.
How bad does it look?
You need a doctor, Mac.
I want no doctor.
There's a bullet in your neck.
I can feel it. I can feel them all.
Oh, Mac.
Oh, I'll live, Kitty. I'll be okay. If you'll take care of me. Will you?
I'll try.
Baby. You do a good job. You get that coat. Coat like you never dreamed of.
I'll do what I can, Mac. Everything I can.
Sergeant Maurer.
Yeah, Lieutenant.
One of the boys out in Southeastern just called in. He thought he spotted that Oldsmobile of Fierst.
No kidding.
Yep. Was coming at him down a busy street. By the time he turned his car around, it was gone.
Was he sure? It's been 6 weeks since we heard a peep out of Fierst.
Well, he was sure of the license number. Come on. Go down in that district and have a look for ourselves.
Kitty. Kitty, over here in the booth.
Mac, I found the coat. It's gorgeous.
Sit down.
Sure.
How about a drink?
Well, I gotta run put a deposit on the coat. Really, it's what I always wanted.
Yeah? How much?
The coat?
What do you think I'm talking about?
Not much. $450.
450.
Well, you know how things are these days.
Forget about it.
Mac, you promised.
I didn't promise any $500.
Don't you think I earned it? I took care of you for 6 weeks. Doctor couldn't have done a better job. Saved you from dying.
Thanks.
Now I know how Lewis felt.
Shut up about Lewis.
I feel like killing him myself.
Wouldn't that be a little crazy? You just spent 6 weeks saving my life.
Well,
where you going?
where do you think? Home.
Stick around. I'll drive
No,
you.
thank you. I'll walk.
Well, Sergeant, doesn't look like we'll have any luck today.
At least we got an idea he's still in town.
Let's just check up to Lakewood and back. We'll call it.
Lieutenant.
Yeah?
Up there. Parked at the curb.
That's the car, all right. There's a parking space past it. Pull in.
Yeah. This ought to be a good spot.
Now, let's sit here and wait for him. We've been waiting here 3 hours, Sergeant.
Yeah. I'm just hoping you didn't suddenly get an idea to abandon the car.
You can keep your eye on it.
I don't know where else I could keep it, Lieutenant.
Who's that coming out of the bar?
Well, it looks like that guy's really banged up. But he's got the same build as Fierst.
Yeah?
What's the matter with his face?
Got me. He's headed for the car.
Yeah.
There he goes. Right for it.
That's him.
Come on, Truck.
Right with you.
Keep him covered. He's a gunman.
I'll get the door.
All right, Fist with police officers. Come out of there.
Hey.
He said come out.
Look, you guys are making a mistake.
What's happened to your face? Who shot you up?
This is ridiculous. My name is McDuff. I have identification to prove it. Look,
Stay out of that pocket.
I got him.
Let go of me.
Yeah. Plenty of identification. 45.
Okay, Fist, get moving. Our car's right down there.
Now,
He
listen.
said get moving. Now go on.
So, Don, Mack Wilson Fierst, one of the worst desperadoes in Baltimore history, was under arrest. Within a short time after he got to detectives' headquarters, the whole bizarre story of the killing of his accomplice, Hunter C. Lewis, was known to authorities. Fierst was placed on trial, and within a little more than a month, he began to serve a 20-year sentence in the Maryland Penitentiary. Well, thank you, Captain of Detectives Henry J. Chris, for this revealing case history. And Gangbusters, congratulations to all the Baltimore detectives whose fine work landed this dangerous criminal. Tonight's case was dramatized by Stanley Niss and directed by William Sweets, with Frank Reddick and Elspeth Eric in leading roles. Don Gardner speaking. Gangbusters is a Phillips H. Lord production.
Broadcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC on Saturday, November 27th, 1948, Gangbusters, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The competition was not particularly stiff. NBC was running CBS was running winner take all, and it pays to be ignorant at that same time. And the hit parade was over on NBC. So, yeah, Saturday night's never a great radio night, although you did have My Favorite Husband running at 7 o'clock. So there you go, some of what was broadcast on this date in history. And we thank you for making us a part of your day. I really do enjoy being here with you each and every time you roll around on a Sunday here on your favorite station. ClassicRadio.stream is our webpage. That's ClassicRadio.stream. You can stream our shows there. You can learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. I've got a list of sites that make our programs available for download. You can also find our social media links, and you can find a way to contact me directly. And you can also, if you're so inclined, buy me a coffee. The Buy Me a Coffee function does not buy me coffee because I don't drink coffee. In fact, a good friend of us, John McDonald, just bought us a coffee, saying, been listening for 4 years now. I was a communist for the FBI, the Shadow Jack Benny. On second thought, maybe I like everything. Keep up the good work. Thank you, John. And you can buy me a coffee at ClassicRadio.stream. Thank this station and support their advertisers. And as always, tell your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.